Married at First Sight Season 18's Michelle Tomblin's been rude to her spouse David Trimble as they've moved through the show, making some harsh digs. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching for more details. Married at First Sight Season 18's Michelle Tomblin has been showing her more difficult side after being dubbed the villain of the season, and her interactions with David Trimble have been harsh. Throughout Married at First Sight Season 18, Michelle has been one of the cast members hopeful to find love in the ever-changing experiment. After applying for the series, Michelle was chosen to be profiled by the panel of MAFS experts, comprised of Dr. Pepper Schwartz, Dr. Pia Hollick, and Pastor Cal Roberson. Throughout the application process, Married at First Sight's Michelle seemed like a great choice. Michelle, along with several other MAFS participants, were profiled by the experts, and she was matched with one of her fellow participants, David. Leading up to their wedding, Michelle seemed excited, albeit a bit nervous, and hoped the experts had listened to her guidelines about who she'd feel comfortable being matched up with. As an independent woman, Michelle was hopeful she'd be able to match with someone who was on her proverbial level, even if they weren't a mirror image of her directly. Michelle had shared with the experts that she was looking for someone who would understand her well. Throughout Michelle and David's wedding, it quickly became clear that Michelle was having a hard time accepting David as the person she was matched up with. While he was her physical type in many ways, David revealed to Michelle that he still lived with his parents. This quickly became the biggest issue in their relationship, and even though David appeared to have some decent reasons for living with his family that didn't revolve around direct need, Michelle wasn't interested in hearing him out about his situation. Instead, Michelle's true colors came to light, and MAFS viewers became uncomfortable watching her. Throughout Married at First Sight Season 18, it's been clear that Michelle and David's chemistry is off. While both have seemed like they'd want their relationship to work at times, it's been tough to visualize a future where they're together in any way, and as the pair has grown apart, Michelle has become more difficult to watch. While Michelle may have many redeeming qualities outside of Married at First Sight, her appearance has seen her as the villain of the series, and viewers have struggled to watch her be rude to David throughout their time on the show. Although Michelle seemed like she was excited for her wedding day, she did have a bit of trepidation before walking down the aisle. She hoped that she'd been clear about what she was looking for with the experts, and made it known that she felt she might be bad at hiding her reaction if she wasn't satisfied. When she met David at the altar, it wasn't clear if Michelle was happy or not, but she quickly had an issue when she discovered David's living situation wasn't ideal. After finding out that David still lives with his parents, Michelle locked herself in a bathroom and had a breakdown of epic proportions. Making it clear that she felt David was beneath her because of his living situation, Michelle struggled to feel like she could continue her relationship with David at all, let alone stay married to him. Michelle's unfortunate breakdown was only a preview for what was to come. When Michelle got control of her reaction to David's living situation, many Married at First Sight viewers hoped that she would find herself being able to brush off the difficulties and move forward. Unfortunately, Michelle didn't have much luck finding herself settled with David's living situation after their wedding ceremony or in the days leading up to their honeymoon. Rather than trying to understand why he was living with his parents, Michelle made it clear that she wasn't interested in hearing him out. Instead, Michelle made fun of David for living with his family and made it clear to her MAFS husband that it wasn't something she found acceptable. Michelle shared that she wasn't happy about the idea of being married to someone who wasn't out of their parents' home, but didn't make it seem like there was any way to fix the situation. Instead, she made jokes about his home and situation, making it clear she didn't care to try and understand. During a particularly heated moment, Michelle got to a point where she was feeling overwhelmed with David's living situation. This brought her to a place where she felt comfortable ridiculing David for his choices, going in on him for the fact that he was still living under his parents' roof. David had explained to Michelle that he lived with his parents to help them and to save money for his future, but she didn't want to hear him out and, instead, made it clear she didn't think he was telling the truth. Michelle went off on David for his decisions, and inferred that he'd want her to take care of him in the same way that she felt his mother was caring for him in their shared home. Asserting that she assumed he would want her to be like your mommy doing all your things for you, and explained that his attitude was a turn-off for me. While David hadn't actually asked Michelle to care of him like a mother, her decision to assume he would want that hurt both of them. Although Michelle was struggling with the way David's life outside their marriage looked, the pair continued to stay together and attempt to work through the experiment in one way or another. Though they weren't necessarily interested in making their marriage work, Michelle made it seem like she may want to move forward despite having a lot going against David in her head. Rather than allowing her MAFS spouse to communicate with her, though, Michelle pushed back whenever David tried to talk to her. Michelle slammed David consistently for trying to communicate with her, shutting him down at every turn. While Michelle was clear that she wasn't interested in leaving the experience behind, she also didn't seem to want to let David clear anything up or explain anything to her. The married at first sight pair have been consistently left in a somewhat head-to-head when it comes to their communication, as Michelle won't stop shutting David down when he tries to communicate. Throughout the season, Married at First Sight's Michelle has consistently made David feel bad about the way he lives his life. From her rejection on their wedding day to the constant nitpicking at his lifestyle, Michelle has made it clear to her MAFS husband that no matter how hard he tries to find common ground with her, she's not going to feel like he's up to par. When David finally had the opportunity to show Michelle his home with his parents, she tore him down further than she had in the past. With Michelle consistently giving off mixed signals, it's become clear that she doesn't have respect for the way David chooses to live her life. Though it's not up to her high standards, David's lifestyle is sustainable and makes sense of him. Rather than tearing him down, MFS Season 18's Michelle should be trying to open her worldview to something different than she's seen in the past. During a recent episode of Married at First Sight Season 18, it became clear that Michelle was never going to come around on David as he currently is. When the pair had an anniversary dinner together to celebrate 1 month of marriage,